Welcome back on the pod. Every guest I feel is a very special guest, but this truly a special guest. Andy Newman, head coach, CSUN men's basketball. It is the summer. We got the All-Star game yesterday. We had a great World Cup football match this morning, but show you, coach, what a sick individual I am. I want to talk college hoops.
I love it. I love it. We're all, stuck with the same case of sickness, I guess, because we're chomping at the bit. Obviously, we had our first couple of weeks of practice, so we're right in the middle of our summer session, and me and my staff, it's like Christmas over here. So we're
Yeah.
in the same boat. Yes, the soccer is great. Yes, all-star baseball game, lots to talk about, but man, if you're in it like we are, like you are, I mean, we can't wait for November to start and us to start playing games again, and there you go.
Before we move forward, got to move back. It was May 7th. Speaking of baseball, I was getting ready to call a series, CSUN and Santa Barbara. I was doing all my Jackson Flora preparation, and I'm coming home. I think it was either after, might have been after lunch, maybe it was before dinner. I get a ping on my phone. I got about three pings on my phone, and three different people. That's how you know something serious, coach. Three different people sent me this whole NCAA link, and it's a long, I think it's 26 page, something like that, 26 page, something like that, with regard to CSUN. Now, I'll leave it up to you. We'll start off this way. What can you tell me about those rulings?
Well, yeah, it's funny you bring up May 7th. It's been a long time. Obviously there were some mistakes that were made. My first month here at CSUN. So we're going back to 2023. So I can show you how long some of these things can take to come to fruition. But those mistakes were done by some people at the athletic department who are no longer with us. We worked hand in hand with the NCAA and with CSUN's administration to make sure that we fixed the problems, and we've done that, and now we are motoring through and on to the next deal. It sucks that it takes so much time. Here we are in 2026 talking about something that happened 3 years ago, but such is the kind of the environment that we work in. And so I can say we're through it. We're moving forward. All of the penalties have been paid, and we're moving forward. So I know some of the fans were a little cautious, I guess. Like, does that mean postseason? Is there something? And no, it's nothing like that. Nothing rose to that level. It's all relatively minor things. And like you said, if people want to get on and read it, there's 26 pages of stuff out there. But yeah, we're moving forward and excited about what's to come, and really just very happy and fortunate that CSUN's administration and the NCAA and our program, and we all worked hand in hand to kind of get through this thing, and we made it through.
Yeah, the number one question, coach, I was getting, just so you know, is does it mean we're eligible for the postseason? So once I saw that, I think a lot of people were put at ease. If you guys win the Big West tournament, you get to go dance. And I think that was kind of something that was a point of a little bit of stress for some of the hardcore fans, most of whom you have met.
Yeah, no, nothing rose to that level. And again, a lot of the things, and if people are want to get into it, they certainly can. But a lot of those things, with NIL now, and with it, everything's constantly moving and navigating. And so, we're happy to be through it. We're moving forward and looking forward to our team, that we recruited, brought it in this year, and can't wait to get them on the floor and show the fans exactly how good they are.
So thank you. I appreciate your transparency on this. I know it wasn't an easy thing for you to do, but so I've gotten a chance to watch a couple of the practices when the summer sessions. But what I'm interested in is, and I think maybe we get under the hood a little bit in terms of for the fans and for the listeners. So the summer session, you guys are allowed to go 4 hours a week. So I think you guys go Monday through Thursday. Take us in to that coaching office. What are you and Coach Killen and Coach Cutley and Coach Shingles, Bobby Brown, Alex Fodor, when you're putting this stuff together from whenever it was, June 29th, until you guys break for the summer, what goes into it, Coach? What are you looking to identify? What are you looking to accomplish? What are some of the basketball things that you're doing with it? Basically, an entirely new group of players.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is teach. We're just trying to teach the new guys our system, how we play, how our program has been able to manufacture wins and being competitive in the Big West Conference. And so we're really just teaching these guys how to play fast, how to defend, how to rebound, all of those things that all of the fans have seen us do over the course of the last 3 seasons. We've got a whole new group of guys, and
Yeah.
with this new group, we're just trying to teach and show them what it looks like, and go from there. And in that, there's just so many moving parts because all it's like, we don't even really, what our roster for sure is going to look like. We have 2 guys that are sitting out waiting for the NCAA to rule on their waivers. So still waiting to kind of, you can't really lock in roles yet, because you just still don't know what that looks like. So we're just teaching, showing them what it looks like, and really honestly, seeing what we got, because recruiting is not an exact science, as everybody knows, and as you've seen, there's always 2 in the group who are better than you thought, and there's always 1 or 2 in the group that might not have been as good as you thought too. So just kind of sifting through that and teaching. But I will say this: in this office, you asked the question, "What's my staff?" We're all. It's like Christmas morning. It's like December 25th. We're opening up packages and seeing, oh my gosh, what did we get? And so it's really exciting time for us. And yeah, we're just teaching, making sure guys are willing to be coached, and teaching these guys how we win here at CSUN.
You touched on it a little bit, an entirely new team. And you mentioned it before. It's a whole new world in terms of the NCAA, but also specifically in terms of basketball, and we've seen it at CSUN, where we've had people come through CSUN and go on to, I won't say brighter pastures, Coach, but I'll say more lucrative pastures, if you get my meaning, with regard to the NIL. And by the way, again, thank you again. You're pretty open about this stuff with me, so I don't want to get anybody into trouble, but there are schools in the Big West. So we're not talking about Duke. We're not talking about Kansas. We're not talking about North Carolina, UCLA. Mick Cronin will have a word for it. But, I mean, there's schools in the Big West who have a significant resource pool for NIL to go out and get players, And again,
No question.
I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to get anybody else in trouble. But, I mean, let's be honest. The CSUN can do a little bit, okay? But it's a fraction of what some of the top schools can do. You've managed to remain competitive despite that. Explain that challenge. How do you navigate that challenge, Coach?
Yeah, it's really tough, and there are some, you mentioned some schools who are really, committing a lot of resources, and people say resources, it's cash, right? People are they're putting a lot of money into their men's basketball programs, which is awesome. It raises the level of this league. It raises the level of college basketball. I think it's terrific. And as you said before, CSUN here, we're scrapping and clawing, and we're moving up that ladder in the resource pool as well. And so yeah, but navigating it, it's not so much losing out to teams in your league. It's more, boy, just like seeing what else is out there in these Power Four conferences is amazing. Hearing the story of what Florida had to do to get 4 of their 5 starters to return. They gave them all $5 million a piece. There's $20 million right there in 4 players. It's like, wow, what a world we live in college basketball in 2026. And so navigating that is tough. Josiah and Larry, obviously off of last year's team, are both guys that went into the portal and had incredible, like, over $1 million offers, which I think I was talking to my brother about this the other day. Is like, remember when you won the lottery and it was $1 million and you were like, "Oh, I'm set for life. I never have to work again." Well, we're just
Yeah.
giving $1 million away now to these college student athletes, and so it's just wild. And so, yeah, if somebody comes to Northridge, has success, boy, I want nothing more than for them to move on and to be able to provide for themselves and their family like that at this age is incredible. So, just very fortunate to be able to, help some of these student athletes be able to go down that journey. Navigating that while also keeping your program competitive, like those are the tough things because you're balancing, yeah, this is awesome that these guys who have success with you have this opportunity to go monetize that, but then also too, that wipes your program out. So now you're starting over every year. But we've kind of leaned into it, Gazal, and just kind of said, "Hey, listen, my new recruiting pitch is, hey, if you don't want to be a millionaire next year, don't come here, because we can do that for you. We've been able
Yeah.
to do that for guys like Keontae Jones, Larry Hughes, guys like that. And so we're kind of leaning into that and just saying, hey, come here, learn this style of play, compete hard with us for a year. Let's see what happens, and then next year, we'll take a look at it and we'll do what's best for you and for your family. If that means staying here at Northridge and having some continuity, awesome. But if it means monetizing your what you've done this year, then that's great too. So just happy to be a part of the journey, and I'm telling you, like, this is such a unique time. As basketball coaches, when we're out recruiting, we talk about it. It's such a unique time to be a college basketball coach. Like, we're going to look back at this 5, 7, 8, 10 years from now and go, oh my gosh, remember 2026 when it was crazy out there, and so I'm just very fortunate to be able to lead this program. I coach basketball for a living. Some of these guys that we're coaching are going to make a ton of money over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. And so just feel very fortunate that I get to be a part of it.
It was funny. I was having a conversation a couple weeks ago with your assistant, Scott Cutley, and I don't want to embarrass him, but of your assistants, and all your assistants are great, he's kind of the cerebral one, and that pains me to say because he's a Fullerton guy. I'm an Irvine grad. That's a whole other thing. But what was interesting, we were talking about the book and the movie Moneyball, and Scott's a baseball fan, and we were talking about it from that perspective. I call what you guys do money hoops, because what you've been able to do is identify kind of undervalued assets with regard to players and fit them into a system, which I think, Coach, 2 years ago, you guys were like 8th in tempo, and last year, I think you were in the top 5. You play fast. It's a style of play that players want to play now at this level. And I'm going to do a blog post later on it because there's the numbers that prove it out. Guys who came in, and that's why I'm intrigued by a couple of the guys you bought in this year, because there's something you see in these guys. What I want to ask you, and bring Coach Cutley back into this, you guys are kind of set up with regard to the transfer portal. Like, it's a paramilitary organization, right? It's like your assistants identify guys, you guys evaluate them together, and then you put a roster together. What is that process like? Like, we come back from Henderson and you take the weekend off and you're back in the office on Monday morning. What is that Monday morning meeting? You just lost to Irvine and they're pretty good and Hawaii's going to the tournament. What's that meeting like on Monday, Coach, with you and the staff with regard to getting into that transfer portal?
Well, everything about that is accurate outside of the weekend off. I mean, we were meeting we were meeting the night after the Irvine game. Where are we going? What are we doing? Who? So it happens immediately. Luckily for us, the NCAA has kind of pushed when you can go into the transfer portal until early April. So we really kind of just focused on junior college kids at that moment, and just kind of knew that, okay, let's try to fill in some gaps with some JC guys. Let's get out there and let's evaluate, let's watch, let's try and get commitments of kids we've already evaluated. And then let's set the table and be ready to go for when that transfer portal opens in April. And so the real digging and scrapping doesn't really start until that transfer portal opens in April. And then it's 14-hour days until your roster is filled. And there is no weekend, and you just grind and you just go until you're there. And my staff has been phenomenal in that space of just, hey, it's go time. And, we have a saying here, and I know most programs have the same one, in November to March, you're not really working. All you're really doing is preparing, and you're enjoying the fruits of your labor from the spring and the summer. So if you didn't work very hard in the spring and the summer, well, you're feeling it in November, December, January, and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas in the spring and summer, you're doing the work. There's something you can do about it now. So we always try to keep that in mind. Hey, we want to have a great November, December, January. Well, you got to put the work in March, April, May, and June. And so those are really the high work output months for us and my staff, and they did a phenomenal job. We collectively did a great job of grinding through all the minutia, turning over every rock, and putting together a really competitive roster, I think.
I remember early in my career, there was a team wasn't doing very well, and it was right around Thanksgiving. We're getting ready for a Thanksgiving tournament, and people were asking questions and whatnot. I remember somebody asked a question. The assistant turns to me and says, "You can't be doing July things in November."
Right.
Basically meaning there was stuff that was missed in July, and because we missed that stuff in July, now we're struggling in November. And that's kind of echoes what you're telling me. I do want to bring up, and I know we always talk about this, and you kind of smile because every coach says they're day to day. I don't know anybody who's more day to day than you, Coach. You could win by 20 on Thursday. If you lose by a buzzer beater on Saturday, you were miserable till that next game on Thursday. But the legacy at CSUN, I know it's the off season, so maybe you have a little bit of time to look at it. Back-to-back 20-win seasons, the first time in over 20 years that's been done. Your 3-year total is the most of any it's the best 3-year total of any coach in history of CSUN, but also to start your career. And that's what impressed me. I went through the numbers. We've worked together 98, because I missed a couple games here and there, but 98 games you and I have worked together on. In terms of the legacy moving forward, how much of that now, this is going to be year 4 for you, and you were pretty well traveled other areas, assistant at Fullerton, obviously, then, Texas, and then San Bernardino. How do you guys feel? When I talk to your assistants, when we lost one, we'll talk about that a little bit. Michael Morris, congrats to him, and go to West Valley. But just the legacy you guys are laying down, and in terms of the expectation of what you guys have for the program, and some of the stuff that you've discussed with fans and donors and administration.
Well, all of those, that's great. Really nice of you to say, and all of those things come, and the legacy piece is great, but not to sound like Scotty Scheffler or anything, but we're just taking it. We really are. I hate to say it. It's one season at a time, one game at a time. Nobody cares really that we won 20 games last season. They all want us to win 20 this year, and nobody, and that's good and bad. So we're just all focused on year 4 and being the best versions of ourselves, and trying to win as many games and trying to represent the university as best we can here in season 4. And hopefully that turns into 20 wins. I'm very nervous. I'm hopeful that it will, but just because we did it 2 years prior, this Division I college basketball is competitive and filled with good players and really good coaches. And so the second you start to, look back on your legacy as to, oh, well, we're winning and we'll just continue winning, it can go away like that. And so there'll be a time to look back at that, but that certainly isn't right now. We're focused on making this team as good as we can. We've got a pretty good schedule coming. We open with Wichita State on November 4th. So I know it's only July, but I'd be lying if I didn't have thoughts on November 4th and what we're going to do in Wichita State, and that's kind of the next challenge at hand, and so we're just kind of focused on that.
It's interesting and it's funny knowing you now, having worked with you. I know that 19 the first year kills you. You know, like you're saying, it's that 20 is not a big deal, man. I know in dark recesses of your mind, when you're on the treadmill, you're in the weight room and you bump yourself, you're like, dang, that we should have had that 20th win in 2024.
Oh yeah, no, even more than that, because I can go through the games that year
Oh
that
yeah.
you see
And
tape
we
and go,
we've done it.
oh, all the,
We've
yeah,
done it,
all the,
coach.
I
Yeah.
mean, all the ones that were just inside your fingertips. But again, I'm just, I'm really proud of every player that's come through this program. But that 24 team, that first year, those guys, man, I'm just so proud of what they were able to accomplish, winning 19 games, changing that. Um, the CSUN had 15 straight losing seasons. I think it was second or third in the country, and that's not easy to change. And those players put in a lot of hard work and dedication to do that. So I know they didn't get to 20, but I don't know that it wasn't harder to just change, 15 years of losing there. So those guys have a very special place in my heart, and yeah. I don't know. One more to say 20, that would have been great. But I think winning 19, that team certainly achieved a lot for this program.
Let's whet the appetite of the fans and all the people who are watching. You don't have to give me too much. Who are maybe two or three guys, new guys that you bought in? I mean, I know you're excited about all your guys, right? I don't want anybody to feel slighted, but and we'll do a couple more of these so we can mention everybody. But who are a couple of the guys you bought in that you and the staff think can really make an impact for this team and in this conference?
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to just pinpoint a few. I really like them all, and probably because we've only had 2 weeks with them. So,
Yeah.
we're just really excited about all of them. I mean, BJ Amat, our transfer from Minnesota, has been really good these first 2 weeks. Brooklyn Hicks and Micah Ballou from Montana and Portland. Those guys have been phenomenal these first 2 weeks. Emmanuel from UNLV has had a great couple of days. Having Lamine back, I mean, it really is. It's hard. Like I could go down all of them, and
let me take it off your plate because I'm going to ask you because here are two traditional money hoops guys for Andy Newman. Okay, I want to ask you about Caleb Smith, the Rider transfer. You look at his numbers, and it's like, okay, he was at Rider, pretty comparable. Big West competition is fairly comparable, but when you watch him on film, here's a guy who plays ahead of his numbers. And if I had to wager, I would say his numbers this year will look more impressive than what he did last year. What did you see when you watched him that thought he would be a fit?
I watched him and I saw glimpses of Keontae Jones and Josh Ogaro. And obviously this kind of success that both of them had on our program, and Caleb is cut from that same cloth. His motor never stops. He averaged over 7 rebounds a game at Rider, and not even really, they're not really talking about rebound that much. Wait till he gets into a program where we really stress that, coach it every
Yeah.
day. I see. So I saw a lot of things like that. An athlete with a really high motor, who's got a great nose for the ball, who always comes up with it when he's around it. And then a guy who, as you can, as you've seen on film, he's really explosive getting downhill in transition and in half court. So guys who can penetrate and play make like him, and then also have a nose for the ball, they always kind of, you're saying it best, they play ahead of their numbers. And their impact on winning, like Keontae Jones's impact on winning wasn't, 10-8 like he had.
Right.
It was so much bigger than
Yeah.
that.
Mahmoud's a perfect example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so Caleb is cut from that same cloth, and watching him on film and then talking to coaches who have coached him, I knew he was going to be a tremendous asset for us.
And the other guy I want to talk to you about, and I'm biased, Jersey guy. So thank you for bringing a Jersey guy. Maybe we'll get out to Newark next year. Maybe we'll go play Seton Hall. But Naz Kirksey, he reminds me of a couple of old CSUN guys. But I look, little older guy, and you and I are both old enough to remember the Bad Boy Pistons. Little Vinnie Johnson vibes with it, and just in the two or three sessions I've seen seems to really fit your system.
Yeah, no question. He is a tough little pit bull who can really score the ball. And he can do it in a lot of different ways, but he's built for this. Again, same thing. When we signed him early and we knew we had a good one because we watched him all summer and said, okay, we like him a lot. We know he's going to be on the floor. Didn't know exactly where. Is that going to be at the 1, the 2? Like, what is that going to look like? And so as we followed him through the year, it became very apparent that it doesn't matter. We just play him, get him on the floor, because he can have a positive impact the game at either spot. But he can really score. He can really shoot it. All go, all gas, no break. Like we're coming at you and mentality, which I absolutely love. So really looking forward to coaching him and seeing what he can do.
Little bookkeeping stuff. Now you're waiting on a couple of waivers and everybody's hearing about that. What is that? Kind of take me inside that process. I mean, how much are you involved? Are you leaving it with compliance? How much contact do you have with those guys in terms of, communicating with them? That's one thing you do really well in terms of keeping the players in terms of informed with your communication. You stress it on the court too, which I always love that aspect of it to it. Sitting waiting. I mean, you talked about Christmas morning. This is a little bit, I'm guessing, a little more stressful.
Yeah, this is causing a lot of sleepless nights here, this summer. And so for the fans, obviously, Josiah Davis has decided he wanted to come back, and so we're waiting on a waiver with the NCAA with him, and so that's with compliance. Haley Paxton is taking care of that for. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Shout out Haley.
Yeah, absolutely. She's doing a great job of getting all of the things submitted to the NCAA so that they can take a hard look at him. And so we're hoping, here in the course of the next 2 weeks. But as we spoke earlier, the NCAA just has a lot of stuff on their plate. And so, the timing for a lot of this isn't as expedient as anybody would want, including them, in fairness to the NCAA. So, and then, the other one, obviously, Kezia Akizi from Oregon State, very good player, high level recruit, is going to have a huge impact on this program if his waiver goes through as well. And so we're just waiting kind of patiently to see what our team is going to look like with both of those guys on our roster. I'm going to sleep really well. So we're just doing everything we can right now to exhaust everything we need to do to make sure that that's what happens, because they're both great kids, very good students. And I mean, you talk about Josiah's story, Ole Miss comes in, he had multiple Power Four conferences come in and offer him over $1 million. I talked to Coach Beard, who was recruiting him hard, and they offered him over $1 million to come and play for him. And Josiah loves it here at CSUN so much, wants to get a degree from CSUN, loves playing in this program, just loves everything about the school, the program, how we're doing stuff. He turned that money down to take his name out of the portal and come back. And so for guys like that, I mean, shoot, what a great story, and who would be better deserving of that waiver coming through than Josiah. Now, obviously, it also helps me and our fan base. Like, boy, wouldn't it be great to watch him for another year?
Yeah.
Having the Player of the Year come back. But I think also too for him, he's got 2 semesters left to graduate. For all the right reasons. We're certainly hoping that the NCAA grants him this year.
We've talked about it too. I did a post game with him. I want to say it was Fresno State, and he talked about this is in December. This is before we knew anything was going to go on. He said this is the most fun. This is the best situation he's ever been in. And I was thinking maybe the throes of the buzzer beater and whatnot, but Josiah is a really thoughtful young man, and he really understands. And from what you're telling me, it seems like he really knows where he wants to be. And that's great. If the waiver gets approved, that's great for you, and that's great for the fan base here at CSUN. Andy Newman joining us on the pod. So a couple of quick things before I let you go. Well, maybe not one quick thing. One quick thing and one not so quick thing. Other question I always get asked, well, when are we losing him? Where's Andy going? And I'm done. I've stopped, I used to check, okay, what's the lineup? Who does Andy know at this job? Pepperdine opened up. All right, what's the alignment? Again, day-to-day guy, man. And the cool thing is I've become friends with your wife, Kelly. So I ask her those. I don't annoy you anymore. I'll ask her those questions now. But you've obviously had opportunity where you could have moved on and gone some places. And you tell me and Kelly and the kids that, you guys seem to really love it in the Valley and the stability it brings. I know you're very close to your whole family. Your brother's down in La Jolla, and I know Kelly's in-laws, the Coxes, they come to every game. They're down there in Huntington Beach. I know that works really well for you guys in terms of the kids as well. Andy Newman and CSUN, you're a Big West guy. You're still in the Big West. How does that play out down the road?
Listen, it would take a whole lot to get Kelly and I and our family away from CSUN. We love it here. Love what President Beck is doing. With the addition of Ryan Swartwood, he's phenomenal. Really looking forward to putting some days under our belts together and building this thing with him. But we love it here. We love the school. We love what it's about, and kind of inferring a little bit to Josiah's decision. Happiness isn't all wrapped up in the financial piece, and it took me a while to learn that. But I can still remember being a head coach at the University of Texas Permian Basin. My starting salary was $52,000 there, and Kelly and I were as happy as we could be, getting to do this and coach basketball and be around student athletes and help these kids change the trajectory of their lives is awesome. So, and then to do that in Southern California with my wife's family around, with this area, this school that supports me, those are things that I'm very grateful for. And I'm telling you, I mean, I've lived an absolutely charmed life, and absolutely love it here. The fans have been great. They're so courteous, and everybody kind of says the same thing to you when they see me. They come up and they see my family. They come up to them and say how grateful they are that we're here and we're with this program. That means a lot to me, and I know to my wife Kelly that my boys are treated well. My wife is treated well, and so we are so happy. We're not going anywhere. Have no plans to go anywhere. If that day comes, I don't know, but it would have to be something just so outside the realm to get us out of here, because we absolutely love it.
Yeah, the Hoosiers call, you'll take the call. But, yeah.
Listen, Kelly has warned me many times, he ain't leaving Southern California. And so we found a great job here in the Valley with some great leadership that supports us. I would love to be able to finish my career here. And you talked about legacy, which would be great. But I would love to watch Luke and Cade go to high school here in the Valley. Luke come play for me someday here at Northridge, and boy, it would be that would be a dream come true.
That'd be awesome. All right, real quick to wrap up, mentors. I won't give you a big preamble. I'm going to ask you about two people. Bob Burton. What can you tell me about Bob Burton?
Oh man, the only reason I'm successful at this at all is because of him. I'm tempted sometimes. People come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, we're so thankful you're here, and glad you're, coaching our program." I said, "You shouldn't be thanking me. You need to call Bob Burton and thank him because he was very instrumental in teaching me how to do this. I was terrible. I'm telling you, I was a bad basketball coach until I crossed paths with him, and he really shaped and reshaped the way I competed in the recruiting field, in everything. Just how he was so good at getting the most out of his players, and we always overachieved. And learning from him how to do that, I think has been has really shaped me and has prepared me to be successful in this business. And so yeah, any success we have can be directly shaped back to that man, Bob Burton.
And the second name I want to throw at you, and I want to thank you. Obviously, I really enjoy working with you. It's been a great ride the last 3 years. Looking forward to year four. But a little backstory. So Dick Bruich is the guy I'm going to ask you about. I cover football out in the IE, and he's a legend out there. And now, I see him out at a game. I get a hug from Dick Bruich, and he's like the godfather out there. And will he ask my opinion on things? I'm like, why is Dick Bruich asking my opinion on anything? This man is a champion. Anyway, old neighbor of yours when you were at San Bernardino. What's that? Tell me a little about that relationship, Coach.
Oh my gosh, we're so fortunate. So when we got the job at San Bernardino, we bought a house in Riverside, and luckily for us, it was literally right next door to Dick Bruich. And Dick and his late wife Kathy came over to the house when we first moved in, and Kathy invited Kelly and I to dinner, and we said, "Oh yeah, we can't now, certainly, maybe try us next week." And then she came over next week, and I can't now, maybe next week. So finally Kelly and I go, okay, listen, we got to go have dinner with our neighbors, and we'll get this over with. This will be one thing. And we go over there, and they treated us so well. And the conversations with Dick about coaching, and like you said, he's at one point in time was the winningest high school football coach in the state of California. There's so many similarities. We stayed up till 2:00 in the morning drinking wine, and Kelly and I walked home and looked at each other and said, "Well, I guess we're doing this every single Thursday night now for as long as we're here." And we did. And Dick and Kathy, they had a huge impact on Kelly and I's with just how we parent, our relationship together. I know Kathy helped Kelly a ton, being a coach's wife. Dick helped me a ton, how to be a loving father, a loving husband, and also a really demanding coach. So that is not always easy to navigate your way through. So Dick is as important in my life as anybody, and has made me as well-rounded an individual as anybody could ask for. So I thank him all the time. And one quick funny story about Dick: we were living next to them during COVID. And so, everybody remembers COVID was crazy. Like, you couldn't leave your house. It was just a weird time. And we had Luke and Kate were 3 and 5 at the time. So we had two little boys who were, trying to keep busy. Well, we would wake up in the morning, and around 9:30, Luke and Cade would scamper off, and we wouldn't know where they were. And they would hop the fence, go into Dick and Kathy's backyard, knock on their sliding back door. Dick and Kathy would come out. They would sit with them, play with them. They introduced Luke and Cade to Cactus Cooler, these high sugar sodas. And they would sit there, and Kelly and I would go in the backyard, and we would just listen to Dick and Kathy talk and ask, Cade and Luke questions. And it was so funny, but it was really just a really cool thing for them to invest in our family during a tough time, and really speaks to who they are as people. And yeah, Dick, if you're listening to this, I love you. And man, just an incredible positive impact in my life, but also in my family's life as well.
Put a bow on it. So a couple of my friends, I've met through the coaching community in Inland Empire, Chris Shattuck and Andy Martinez. So they got together at some passing league or something, and they took a picture. Dick's the legend. So they're taking a photo with Coach Bruich, and Coach Bruich wearing a CSUN t-shirt, Coach. So I know you're happy about that. By the way, shout out Travis Carter, who I also know Hillcrest Division 10 champions last year in the CIF for football. Wrap it up for me, Coach. What, You got a fan base. You got CSUN alumni, CSUN families. Give me a parting message before I let you go.
Well, I think we've got a really exciting team. We're going to be really fun to watch again. We're really talented. A lot's going to come down to, Josiah and Kezia and where we land on these two waivers. But I will say this, if those waivers come through, this is going to be one of the most exciting basketball seasons Northridge has had in a long time. Certainly as exciting as it has been in my short 4 years here. So I'm really looking forward to this year. The guys just in our early time together, all very coachable because all you've had a chance to see us, but we're a little bit longer than we've been. We're a little bit more athletic than we've been. And boy, just in the early stages of this thing, we are as talented as we've ever been.
Yeah. And again, I want to thank you in terms of not just, the day-to-day stuff, but how transparent you are. All my USC buddies tell me about when Pete Carroll was the coach. Like, I guess Lincoln Riley, nobody's allowed to practice. With Pete Carroll, who wasn't at practice, Will Ferrell, Snoop Dogg, like everybody was at practice. And so that's why I appreciate for you, and I think I've told you this, covering a team that hasn't, let's be candid, they didn't win for a long time. And so you get to know the fans. And these are fans, coach, that are sitting there for 30 games when they're winning 7, 8, 9, 10 games. And now to have that group, all these folks who come every game, and now they get to see, they get to go have fun in Henderson in March and go see you guys win. Hopefully you can win a couple more games this year. But we do appreciate it. I mean, from my perspective, I can speak for me and Alan. It's been a joy the last 3 years. Looking forward. I got that date in Wichita circled. I never thought I'd want to go to Wichita, but here we are, Coach. And then, the relationship, getting to know Kelly, getting to know your in-laws. I'm buddies with your sister-in-law, Jody, now, softball coach at CSUN. And of course, Kate and Luke are hysterical. They always come by and give me 5 before every game. So that's greatly appreciated. It really is a different atmosphere since you've been there at CSUN.
Well, that's nice of you to say. And again, to the fans, I'm just very happy and that they're happy and really appreciate them sticking with CSUN through the tough times and now hopefully we can enjoy some good times and let's keep these good times going because I know I appreciate their loyalty to this program. It would have been very easy to jump off the bandwagon and go find somebody else. So just appreciative of their stick-to-itiveness and let's have a great 26-27 season.
You're well on your way. Appreciate the time. Ignite the Valley. And, hey, come out. You mentioned win or lose. You guys are always fun to watch. So tickets available. Let's go sell some tickets, season ticket packages. Go get them and come see Andy Newman and the Matadors.
Sounds great, Gazal. Appreciate your time.